Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Who wants an orange whip? Orange whip? Orange whip? 3 orange whips.
So you're bored, are ya? I've come here to break your monotony. Let me have my piece, because I'm shooting with this one, folks. I don't care, man.
The unscripted, uncensored, loose cannon of commentary.
Why did you say that? Why? Why? You come out with stink like that? Poop. Your poop mouth. Poop out of your mouth.
See, son? Old legends never die. They just lose weight.
Like a legend and an out-of-work bum look a lot alike, Daddy.
I've got a midget friend, an albino friend, and another friend who thinks Lord of the Rings is real. Together we call ourselves the Unfuckables.
Quinton is in. Let the fun begin.
Body touch.
You guys are an asshole, man.
I've never heard of Van Halen.
You know, Carrie, we have heard of Van Halen. Hello, Las Vegas. Hello, world. Hello, my loyal minions. It is good to see you, and it's always good to be seen. The show is another effing podcast. I'm your host, Izzy Presley. It's good to see you, and it's been a little while. It's been a couple weeks. Last show. Oh, my God. It's so ironic that the last show I did, sitting next to me is my good friend, Chris Hawkey. Not the first time we've ever been on a microphone together. That happened today.
Yep.
That happened this morning.
True. Yep.
And, but the last show was Nate Peck, the guy who's filling in for CJ Snare, and we're on the Blue Cruise, and the news came out on Sunday. He passed away on Friday. The news came out on Sunday that CJ Snare from Firehouse died. And I always open the show like this, Chris. In the words of my close personal friend, Stone Cold Steve Austin, gonna crack one for the working man. But right now we're gonna crack it for CJ Snare. Cheers.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And do you love the fact that I have Michelob Golden
I
Light?
absolutely do. I was going to ask you about that. You had to bring that one back with you. Huh?
Well, every time because people are always coming out here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah? You're driving? Oh, good.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Good. So this is Chris Hawkey. If you are not familiar with who Chris is, he is from Minneapolis. He is a co-host or producer. Are you technically
producer?
Co-host?
That's it. Right. Yeah.
Because you really seem like more of a co-host.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you guys have a whole machine going there on the Power Trip morning show out of Minneapolis on the KFAN. Is this still KFAN?
KFAN, locally fan radio network across the nation. Yeah.
Because I know shit changes all the time. Yeah. He's a musician, and his band is called Rocket Club. He also plays with the fabulous Armadillos, with some amazing, amazing musicians from my town.
Yeah.
And it's so weird how this all just kind of came into one big circle, you know?
For everybody out there who doesn't know St. Cloud, Izzy, I got to tell you, man, I grew up in Indiana, so I knew nothing about Minnesota when I first moved there. St. Cloud is some sort of a triangle of musicianship and rock. It's just unbelievable. Every person I know in St. Cloud, first of all, is an A+ musician. Yep. Second of all, they know everybody else in St. Cloud, and they've all played in bands together, and that extends to you all the way out to Las Vegas, and you're spreading that everywhere, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is just insane. The Thomas brothers.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, Stretch and Mike Zeleny, and like even people that I don't know if you know, like Freaky he was in Flip and Hairball.
I don't know him, but yeah,
he's a St. Cloudian. You know, it's
right.
like, and it was part of that. I mean, when did you move to Minneapolis?
94.
You moved to there in 94,
Yeah.
so you still got to see the waning years of the real rock and roll scene that it was. So you got to see the Iron Horse and Sharkies and the Mirage and all that kind of good shit. But St. Cloud was in that circle.
Yeah.
It was Press Bar.
Yeah, it's weird. Everybody tells me about that scene. I did get to go to the Iron Horse right before it closed, and I saw, I think, Gemini there, maybe Nightcrawler, somebody like that, right towards the end of the run there. But yeah, I did feel like I missed something. I missed something special. There's so many great bands there. There's a lot of cover bands there just now, just like everywhere else, you know. But I would love to have seen what that was like back in the day. I would love it. And it just seems like, Stretch and those guys, they talk fondly about that whole 15, 20-year run of musicians and just the music and the fact that you go out on a Wednesday night, like here in Vegas, go out on a Wednesday night, see a band. Like I saw Tesla last night. You can see anybody anytime,
Yeah. But it was like, so when like, Slip Twister, for instance, Stretch's band, Stretch and Mike's band, phenomenal. They would play the red carpet every single Wednesday night. And it was elbows to assholes.
Yeah, right.
But then next door, like there'd be a band playing at the Press. Oh, pardon me. And it was just people went out to see live music.
Yeah.
And I think it's just all changed. I mean, it's changed everywhere.
Well, I'm hoping everything's cyclical because it seems like it is. I mean, I do believe eventually we're going to start to see a return to guitar-driven music once again. I know it might sound weird and this is probably controversial to a lot of people, but I think people like Taylor Swift, who are, even though she is obviously a giant pop star and doing what she's doing, you see her playing a guitar, and there's a little girl and a little boy out there seeing her playing guitar and saying, "Oh, I can learn to play guitar," and it's going to be cyclical. The music's going to come back around, and again, maybe 10 years from now, maybe 20 years, maybe after we're gone, there's going to be places like the Press in St. Cloud where somebody's picking up a guitar for the first time on a Wednesday night and trying to lead themselves to stardom. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway.
Did you say Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Well, Joe, that's what you call trim.
No, yeah, that's what I say. That's
exactly
for sure.
right.
That's I didn't know if I could go there on this, but
oh no, dude, it's called another fucking podcast, Chris. Come on.
But sometimes you don't want to.
Plus, but you also have a very important job, so I don't want you to get in trouble by saying something stupid.
Well, the bottom line is this: I have trained myself the best I possibly can. If this is in front of my face, I try not to say too much. Yeah, because you do it once and it becomes easier and easier and easier.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
Yeah,
trust me. When I opened up this thing and I could swear all that I wanted.
Man.
Oh,
yeah.
It almost takes the fun. It's like Stern when he went to satellite, he cleaned up.
Yeah, he did.
And it kind of take the fun out of
it.
Well, actually he cleaned up, but he also was able to extend it and say, fuck.
Dude, it's an interesting case study. I love Stern. I love radio, man. I know you do too. I love the broadcast medium. I love everything about it, man. I just love the communication. Stern, I thought was really, really interesting because everybody expected him to come out on Sirius or on XM Sirius back in the day and just go crazy. And he did to some extent.
Right.
But how bright is he to say, I'm going to not do it. I'm not going to go too far. I'm not going to alienate people. I'm going to just do a good radio show. He is better today than he was when I was board opping his show into Minneapolis when I started in 1997.
You were board opping Stern. I remember that. I was working at Ford then.
Yep.
And all he did was come on and berate frickin' Tom Bernard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
and it didn't work.
He did it in every single market he went to. And it did not work in Minneapolis.
Work in Minneapolis. Another case study as somebody who just loves radio, and I don't want to go too deep in the weeds.
No, please. I don't know. I love this. This needs to be talked about.
Well, so I was out of radio. My wife and I had just moved to Minneapolis from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I was out of radio. She worked at Cities 97. She was the program director at this great radio station in Minneapolis for 19 years. Started these huge things like the Basilica Block Party and the City Sampler, all these giant things.
Yeah.
And so I had been out of radio and raising our son as a stay-at-home dad. And I got a call one day. They were going to blow up this entire country radio station and change it to a rock station, oddly enough, on 100.3, which is the signal I work on right now on KFAN. But they needed somebody who wasn't in radio at all, who could come in and be the only employee at this new radio station. And that's when I found out they were bringing Howard Stern in to take down Tom Bernard. Now, Tom Bernard, as you know, there was no one like him. His numbers in Minneapolis were bigger than what Howard Stern's were in New York. Obviously more competition, but impossible to beat him. And so they brought him in specifically for that and paid him well. And he attacked. And Tom did the smart thing, decided not to acknowledge it at all. And it just didn't work.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, like I said, it worked everywhere, but I don't know in those other markets if they did acknowledge it.
Probably, yeah, right.
And I totally forgot that Bernard didn't acknowledge it because I was listening to Stern.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. We did everything we could to distract him. He wouldn't do it. And, I think there's also something in Minnesota specifically, but mostly everywhere, but they didn't want somebody in New York coming in and taking the #1 spot away from Tom Bernard. People were really, really against that. So it was a big listenership, but it wasn't enough to pay him what they were paying him.
So how do you make the jump then? So Stern leaves.
Yeah.
And you're out of a job.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Did you already have something in place when that happened? Did you start at Kfan right after that happened?
No. So, well, kind of, because two things happened. The company started growing and growing. At the time when I worked at WLOL, it was just 2 radio stations.
WLOL.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That was a station. It changed over to WQRC then. and became the rock station. That was what Stern was on. So after they got rid of Stern, they hired this guy, Alan Cable, to come in, and Lee Valsvik, who was on the Top 40 station with Dave Ryan. And we built this morning show for a few years over there and just failed miserably. But at that time, I was also doing the motorsports show, talking NASCAR and all things racing with Russ Bohattie on the Fan on Saturdays. And gradually, I just got to love talk radio even more than I already had, and they asked me to come over and work with superstar Mike Morris. We did an hour he was a former Minnesota Viking.
Yep.
We did an hour. And then they gave us the morning show, and that was 23 years ago in November. I've been doing the morning show at Kfan 23 years.
And Mike Morris sometimes gets blamed for wide left.
Yeah, wasn't his fault.
No.
It was a good snap. I don't care what they say. It wasn't his fault. But
Yep.
Just another Viking terrible memory, right? I know.
Obviously, you're familiar with the book, Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't understand. They do not understand the pain of being a Minnesota sports fan.
It's really something, man. You know, I've worked now for the Vikings for 14 years. I produced the radio broadcast.
Yeah.
And after 2009, when Brett Favre threw the across his body interception against New Orleans, Brandon Molesky, who is the chief engineer for the Vikings radio network, we just looked at each other and said, we're not going to care this much ever again. We can't do it.
No.
It hurts too damn much for them to always break our hearts. So I do my best to try to reel myself out of that.
Yeah, but thankfully, I mean, I'm old enough to have been alive when the Super Bowls happened. Well, not the first one.
Yeah.
But old enough to not remember.
Right.
You know, too young enough
Absolutely.
not. But I do remember Darren Nelson jumping in front of the pass that was meant for Anthony Carter. I do remember, obviously, wide left.
Wide left, man.
Ugh.
I know it. It just keeps happening. So I don't know, one of these years maybe, and I hope I'm still working for the team because I would love to actually celebrate something one time.
That's why I couldn't cheer the Lions.
Yeah.
Because, but they've had it coming. No, bullshit.
No.
They have 11 Stanley Cups. They've got four MLB titles.
Sure,
They've
yeah.
got 3 NBA titles. They've had their shit.
Yeah.
It's just the Lions. But I was also jealous of Lion fan because there was no getting the heart ripped out of the ass.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know what's coming. It's
Yeah.
like being a Vikings fan for you. A lot of you people that don't understand that. Imagine being single like me.
Okay.
Talking to a cute gal.
Yeah.
Hot gal.
Sounds right.
Really fucking hot gal.
I'm liking where
and all of a sudden
sure.
she starts talking to you.
Yeah.
Think, oh my God,
Ooh.
I might have a chance here.
Here we go.
And then right at the end, boom, she has a cock and it's over.
Yeah.
You know,
Or it's not.
Or it's not.
But yeah, no.
Yeah. Or if she doesn't, even if she doesn't have a cock, she rips your heart out of your ass.
Oh.
And boom, there it is. It's like oh my God, it's finally gonna.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
come
it.
on.
Yeah, that's it. I've ridden on that plane home from that game many a time, wondering what happened to my asshole. Right. Exactly. Yes,
What was so? You were working the Vikings in 2009.
yeah.
What was that plane ride like?
Well, here's the thing about those plane rides that I found the most fascinating. When I started working for the Vikings, I'm 5'6", right?
Yeah.
I never dreamed I would ever ride on a team NFL plane. It's
Yeah.
the greatest gig. I can't believe I get to do it. Even 14 years later, I still can't believe it, right? The one thing that all those plane rides have in common is they remind you that to these kids, it's their job.
Yeah.
They're sad. They wanted that win. Every one of them thinks they're going to do it again next year and they've got another shot. So I am way sadder most of the time than the actual players are on those flights. The coaches take it hard.
Yeah.
The players are doing their best not to get in trouble for having too much fun on the flight home. A lot of times.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of times, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just wonder if that's like that in other sports.
I wonder. Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that I know you is from what I was doing when I was a sports and music director for Arch Magazine and the Weekly Buzz newspaper. So I was in the press box.
Yeah.
That's where I got to know Cove and Sauce and
The Halversons, everybody.
Yeah. And Rosie and,
course,
it's fucking Fallness. Everybody. Russo when he acknowledged my existence.
Well, yeah.
I think I've been banned from Russoville. I don't know what the hell I did.
No. Well, we'll get you back in there.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
not
see.
It's not that fine anyway.
But the thing that I noticed was it was the baseball players and the hockey players that seemed like they cared the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like that. I remember when the Wild missed the playoffs. Andrew Burnett played on, I believe it was a broken ankle.
Ugh.
For a few games
Yeah.
until that team was eliminated from playoff contention. And
Yeah.
that's hockey player right there.
NHL players are a different breed, man. They just are. I don't know anything about baseball players, being honest. I've not been around any MLB teams at all, but I've been around Timberwolves a lot because we've been the home of the Timberwolves off and on again, and we are again now. Been around Wild players a lot, and Mark Parrish is a member
Yeah.
of our
Love that
morning
guy.
show. He's the best guy ever. But these guys go through injuries that I mean, would be catastrophic for your normal everyday guy, and absolutely catastrophic for most professional athletes in the world. They just keep playing. I mean, I have a lot of respect for NHL players and anybody who, even if they don't make the NHL, college hockey players, they take a hell of a beating, man.
Yeah. Broken jaw. Wire me up, coach. Let's go.
But Harris got his teeth knocked out of his face, 3 of them.
Yeah.
And finished the period.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just take him over to the trainer and put him in milk or something.
Fucking Pear Bear.
Yeah.
So when did you get into the music scene then?
I grew up in a family that just loved music, but nobody had ever been in a band. Nobody played any instruments, anything like that. I grew up in Indiana, right on the border of Ohio and Indiana, a little town called Union City.
How close to where Axel grew up?
I mean, 2 hours.
Okay.
Good ways away. Yeah.
Still Indiana.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's still Waffle House.
You better believe it. I'm a little over an hour and a half from Seymour, Indiana, where John Mellencamp grew up.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I loved music, and I wanted so badly to be a singer. I just wanted to be in a band. So
you can have one too.
Oh yeah. There was a local newspaper where there was an ad in the paper just said, hey, we're looking for a singer. And my mom dialed the number and handed me the phone, and I went and auditioned. I was terrible, but nobody else auditioned. So I got the band. And after, all these years, I the 10,000 hours thing actually came through for me, and I learned how to do it,
Yeah. So I mean, were you blessed with
beer
the
coming in, beer coming in hot. Thank you.
Some bitch, would you like some beer?
I like that.
He rules.
That guy's tough.
I saw that at the Goodwill. I'm like, this some bitch looks like he would kick your ass.
Yeah.
Then drink your beers, fire a long dart, then mount your old lady in front of you, and then buy you beers.
Yeah, look at him. He just did all those things. I can see that right now. He's cleaning a little bit of something off the bottom lip is what he's doing. Right there. Yeah. I like that guy. So,
were you blessed? Did singing come easy for you?
You know what came easy for me was getting on stage. That was the thing. I wasn't great at first. In fact, the guys in the first band I was in loved to tell me that the only reason they hired me is because I had a Kiss t-shirt on. I'd just been to the Asylum tour.
Oh, you saw the Asylum
tour. Yeah, Bruce Kulick, man. Yeah, I mean, right? So I had that t-shirt on. I was the only guy who showed up for the audition. They said, all right, he can't sing very well, but he likes Kiss. Let's hire him. So, man, you want to know how bad I was. The first year I was in the band, we were playing Freebird in a town called Versailles, Ohio, a biker bar. And I was singing it so badly. One of the bikers jumped on stage and took the microphone away from me and finished the song. That's it. That deserves that. Yeah, that was I had many of those moments, but you learn 10,000 hours. You learn to do, and gradually over time, I moved to Dayton, Ohio, and that's when I started my radio career, and we kept singing, and then moved to Virginia. Went to LA for a year, tried to be a rock star out there. Had a great time with that, and just missed the whole thing, missed the scene, and then made.
So it was like after the Great Wall of Nirvana hit.
That's So I got there in '92.
Man,
I got there in '92. I had a blast, man. The crazy thing about being in LA. Well, I shouldn't say LA because I couldn't afford to live in LA, but right outside of there, and a couple of different places, Glendora and Rialto.
Oh yeah,
things like that. Right. The great thing about it being there in '92 into '93, if there was a chance you might be a rock star, you kind of got treated like a rock star.
Yeah.
It was a fun time to be 21 years old. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I can imagine, dude. I can't even imagine going into the Rainbow when I was 21 years old.
I couldn't either, and actually doing it felt like walking into a movie.
Yeah,
it literally felt like walking to a movie. And again, obviously, '92, the scene is ending, and you could feel it. I could remember seeing, and actually, this girl that I was having carnal relationships with, her brother brought a cassette of a band called Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, wow.
A demo cassette of a Rage Against the Machine, a couple of Rage Against the Machine songs. I remember hearing that, and the things that were happening in music, it was changing. You could feel it. Everything, the face of music was changing. I knew nothing about Nirvana, but I knew about Alice in Chains.
Here's something that I learned when I was on the cruise. The Nelsons were talking about the changeover.
Okay.
And they were performing in LA in the early 80s.
Dude, they were on Saturday Night Live before anybody knew who they were.
Yeah. But they heard from somebody, because there's just a small group of people who run everything.
Of course.
With all the labels are
everything
together, yada, yada, yada. It happened. It started with disco. Donna Summer was making so much money. They didn't want to keep paying people that kind of money. So boom, disco ends.
Wow.
And then it restarts. And there's this punk thing. Oh, we don't have to pay these fucking people anything.
Yeah, right.
So boom. There it is. And then new wave hits. And then it all, oh, geez, look, these guys are making a ton of money. You know, the White Snakes, the Guns N' Roses.
Right.
Hey, Nirvana.
Yeah.
Shitty little band out of Seattle. They're the new face.
Yeah.
You know?
And that lasts for a little while and then cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you go.
And I had never thought of that.
That's
I'd
something, huh?
never looked at it like that.
That's really something. You know, the thing about that, the music that we love, though, you know, those bands, there was, it did get obviously a little watered down. There's no doubt about it. It got watered down.
Absolutely.
Every band was getting signed and everything like that. And I think I'm just mad because I missed that. But you know, the thing is, you got guys. That's the reason music still lives, man. They were real musicians. These were real songwriters. These were people who cared about melody lines and cared about the heart of music. I mean, again, I'm going to bring it up for the second time because I loved it and thank you. That Tesla concert last night, man.
Yeah.
I've seen them probably 15 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
They were as good, if not better, than I've ever seen them last night. And the first time I ever saw them was opening for David Lee Roth at Hare Arena in Dayton, Ohio.
Wow.
They opened with the same exact song, Coming at You Live. I mean, it was a great moment last night. And I'm thinking, as I'm sitting there watching these guys play, no wonder they were stars. No wonder they made it. They were great then. They're great now. These guys were meant to play music.
They were like the working man of 80s rock because they didn't do the makeup. They didn't do the hair. I mean, they had long hair, but they didn't do the hair. They didn't do the spandex and everything that's stereotyped now.
Right.
Overly stereotyped now.
Yeah.
They were out there in fucking jeans and
always.
And it was just gritty, great melody rock and roll.
Man, and the guitar work, Frankie's so good. Still so good.
Phenomenal.
Just unbelievable. And you had the gentleman who the other guitar player on your show.
Yeah, Dave Root.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God. That guy gets out on that Les Paul and he's just killing it.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
That's one of my favorite bands all time. And I love it when you go see a band that you love and they start playing those songs. They played Love Me last night.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think I ever got to see them play that song.
They did it. Did they do a new song last night?
They did a brand new song.
How was
last
it?
night. It was great. It was great. It was kind of a melody, a melodic song.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell, you know, Eddie Trunk was there last night. Your buddy was there last night. And I kept seeing Jeff kind of looking over emotioning. You could tell he was singing it for him so he could hear. But I thought it was great. And those guys just write great songs. What else matters?
Exactly.
Great songs are what matters.
We're both going to see the same thing, except different shows tonight. You're going to go see Scorpions.
Yep.
And have you ever seen Ugly Kid Joe live?
I've never seen
Dude,
them.
you are going to fucking love their live show.
Can't wait.
I saw them once, and that was when they're on Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tours tour. It was them, Slaughter, Ozzy Osbourne. That was No More Tears tour. And they were fucking great. And I just remember at the end of the show, the singer's name
Escaping me.
He's gonna kick me next time he sees me, but it's all good. But all he says Ozzy Osbourne's fucking God. And he threw the mic out and they disappeared.
Always so much fun, that band. Man.
But I had the guitar player Klaus and the bass player on the show when they were here last April with Fozzy, and I hadn't seen them since the early 90s, and then I go see them and it's like, oh fuck, I forgot how good these guys are.
I love that. I'm excited. Yeah, and I strangely enough, I've never seen Scorpions either.
Really?
My first time seeing Scorpions.
My first big boy show was the Monsters of Rock tour in 1988.
There's somebody in this apartment with us right now who also saw that show.
Oh,
yeah. My manager Sarah Jane over there. She's told me because she's the biggest Metallica fan I've ever seen, the biggest Metallica fan I've ever known, and I'm talking old school Metallica stuff. So I've heard a lot about that show.
As somebody who was not a Metallica fan,
right
at the time,
yeah,
I think I'd known who they were,
yeah,
but I didn't know them enough to recognize any of the music because obviously it's not on the 101 played them from time to time,
okay, right?
Like for the Bell Tolls or whatever.
Course, yeah.
But my first like real experience to Metallica was the MTV special that they did about the tour, and the live clip they played on there was Sanitarium.
Man.
And I thought it was Death by Stereo.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Kingdom Come came on. They blew me away. They were phenomenal. Fuck all the haters.
Yeah.
They sound like Zeppelin. Who doesn't?
Dude,
come on. Everybody does.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
Being Led Zeppelin. Dude, that song. Come to me now. I want to be your best friend for all the time. I'll be the shelter for your tears. Oh man, do they still play? I've not seen them at all. Do they really? I haven't seen them anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So, and then Metallica came on, and I just remember, and we were just talking about this, but swearing too much, but sometimes I used to start going and I can't stop.
Go ahead.
I would never do that on live radio,
Of
by the
course.
way.
Yeah.
But I remember Metallica hit the stage and my jaw hit the ground. And I looked at my buddy, Bobber. I go, what the fuck is this?
Wow.
And they're playing song. I had no idea what the hell it was. And I distinctly remember James Hetfield coming up to the mic for, I don't even know what song it was. Because I didn't know any of the songs.
Right. Yeah.
And he goes, we're going to play some older shit for you now. See if you can figure out what the fuck it is. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, right.
But
it's brand new to me.
It's brand new. It was all new to me. And then they played Sanitarium, and there I am. Death by stereo. Boom, 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 boom. Like an idiot. But, you know, they played new shit off of Justice, because that was the summer before Justice came out. And I went out, I bought Puppets the next day.
Yeah.
I was, boom, I'm
That's
in.
the best, man. I love that. God damn, I miss those times.
Oh.
That was fun when you go to see a concert and you can't wait till the record store opens the next day, man. Yeah, we had a record store called Stonehenge. The closest one was in Muncie, Indiana, about 40 minutes away. I remember watching Headbangers Ball. You had Ricky Rockman on your show. Watching Headbangers Ball the night he had Axl and Slash on. And the next morning, Mom took me to Muncie, Indiana, and I bought that Appetite for Destruction record.
How many times have you purchased that record?
Oh, I'm at least 10.
I had the vinyl, I had the cassette, and the CD.
Of course.
Yeah, it's one of those, you just keep buying it.
Yeah. And you talk about game changers. Like, obviously Nirvana did what they did, and that kind of music did what it did. Guns N' Roses changed everything for me, man. I still do, by the way. I'm not taking shots at anybody.
Yeah.
I loved Poison, you know. I loved,
me too.
I loved those bands. Guns N' Roses was greasy. Guns N' Roses for me, and then Faster Pussycat, they changed everything for me. LA Guns, obviously, those guys changed everything for me. I couldn't be pretty no matter what I did, and my hair was always just shit. But I'm gonna tell you, man, I could put like a bandana on my head and go out and pretend I was in Faster Pussycat. I loved that whole feel, and those bands towards the end, the 86, 87, 88, those bands were my favorites.
You know what sold Guns N' Roses on me?
Who's that? What's that?
The Live at the Ritz show.
Oh, really?
When I saw that show, that's when it all changed, because it was raw.
Yeah.
They were hammered. They were out of tune, but it was what they called in business magic.
Yeah. You know,
it was just, you can't even describe it. If you've never seen it, you can see it online.
Sure.
But most of the people that are going to watch or listen to the show have seen that.
They've already seen it. Yeah.
They've seen it.
Yeah.
But if you're somehow discovering this because you happen to be a fan of The Fan,
sure. Right.
that's something you need to see.
I'll tell you, man, and I've said this before and I get weird looks, but for me, it works in my mind. They were my Rolling Stones, not my Beatles.
Yeah.
They were my Rolling Stones. They were the true, authentic, real. Those guys crawled out of the goddamn gutter on stage and started playing music that spoke to me, man. That, oof. I love all music. There's so many records that changed my life, but that one in particular.
Yeah, dude. Moly, it's like there's Van Halen.
Yeah.
You know, the early, and this is what I want you to do. Next time Brian Oak is in studio.
Yeah.
He is said on Common Man, he never wants to hear, he didn't even know it existed. He never wants to hear the David Lee Roth version of Tobacco Road.
He never heard that?
He's never heard it. And
amazing?
why does he, what? Look, I remember Sauce saying Van Halen's the most overrated band of all time.
He says things just to piss me off.
Yeah,
he does. I know he does.
Of course,
a lot of
of
times.
course. But how can you dismiss Van Halen?
You can't. Yeah, I mean, you can't. There's so much about that band. You know, again, both versions. Too,
exactly.
By the way, they're two separate bands to me.
It's apples and oranges.
Absolutely, and then of course, Gary Sharon. You know,
yeah,
absolutely,
Gary,
for sure. But the first iteration, regardless of whether you think he can write a song to save his life, whether or not you've seen him sing on days where he wasn't fantastic, David Lee Roth, top 3 frontmen of all time, period.
Oh yeah.
Bottom line. Love that.
Yeah.
band.
But he never, I mean, I might as well. I didn't even realize I drank that whole beer already.
Would you mind, Sarah Jane, please?
Please.
Yeah.
Please. How are you doing? You want another one?
I'm good, man. I'm fine. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Did you grow a vagina?
I wish I had, dude. I'd have no fingerprints at all of any kind. No.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I don't know. So for me, music was the thing that literally, I've said this too many times, but music saved my life.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It gave me opportunity to get out of my small town. I grew up just in a place where I knew I didn't belong. You know, I loved it. A fantastic place and great people. Just wasn't my deal, man. And music got me out of there and through radio and then the band stuff. And here I sit, I'm 53 years old and I'm playing with legitimately, if you out there, the Fabulous Armadillos, one of the just most talented bands in the country.
Yeah.
I get to do that. It's the most fun. I'm in this great rock country band called Rocket Club.
That's where I wanted to go next. I want to talk about that, but let's talk about the Dillos for a second because, and it's kind of like, it's a completely different monster than Hairball. I mean, Hairball they're putting on the ultimate 80s rock show. The Dillos, every show is different.
Yeah.
Every show has a theme, right?
Yeah.
Is it still like that?
We do different shows. We have the party band, which goes out and basically wherever you're at comes to you and plays songs that everybody's going to know and everybody's going to love. That's great. Then we do the theme shows. You're right. Like right now I'm here, but they're doing the Acoustadillos. So they're doing the greatest acoustic shows of all time. I'm part of the What's Going On Vietnam tribute show.
Wow.
So which is unbelievable. And so, there's different themes and people will come even if they don't know the music, even if they're not sure what the theme is, even if they don't like the genre, because the band is always that good.
Yeah.
And the talent that runs through there is unbelievable. And Greg Armstrong has built just an incredible group of musicians and then, a name that, again, I haven't played a show that wasn't sold out or almost sold out since I joined that band 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Everywhere we go, it's packed. It's the greatest job of all time.
Yeah.
Because I just show up and sing.
Right.
Everything's already done for me. And it's the best songs in the world from musicians you just can't believe. Yeah.
And like I said, the success that they have, it's just started out as we're gonna do this in the theater in St. Cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
it was Greg Armstrong's birthday party.
Yeah.
And it went well. So they decided they'd keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just phenomenal. So the Rocket Club, Rocket Club was on hiatus for a while, correct?
Yeah, man.
And I just saw that you guys just did shows like this year.
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
just a couple weeks ago. How long were you on hiatus? What was the cause for the hiatus?
We were on hiatus for 8 years.
You know, and actually, the last time I saw you before I left, I think was at a Rocket Club show. At Lake George in St. Cloud.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, exactly. It's Summertime by George. Yeah, exactly. So Rocket Club is this this band. We invented our own genre. They're Southern rock. We're a North Country band.
Okay.
So when we first started, we were a songwriting team of guys who would get together, sort of like the Tuesday night music club, right? We would get together on Wednesdays at Matt Kirkwald's house and just play guitar and
love Matt.
He's a brilliant kid, and just sing songs and play songs. And then we started writing things, and we were more of a AAA band, more of a in the vein of the Bodines, in the vein of those kind of bands that you would get on City 97, something like that. But we were given a poem by a gentleman who had lost a daughter and to a childhood disease, a very heart just wrenching poem. And he asked if we could make a song out of it. So Joel and Don and Matt got together and wrote this song. It was called One More Day. And just a really, really great song, a great tribute to a child and to a parent's love for a child. And I'll never forget it. Sarah Jane, my manager, who has been with me for 23 years, we were on our way to play a show in Duluth and her phone rang. And it was somebody from Billboard magazine. And he says, we're all in the van together going to Duluth. And he says, hey, I need information about your band. They're going to be on the Billboard country charts. We did not know we were a country band. But One More Day got picked up by K102 locally in the Twin Cities and then spread across the nation. And a station in San Antonio started playing it. A station in Tempe started playing it. And we made the top 50 of the Billboard country as an unsigned band. We did that 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was crazy. And, by that time, I was 38, 39.
Yeah.
I'd given up on the idea that I was ever going to be a rock star. My kind of music had passed, and I was just glad to be in a band. Well, Matt's pitch to me when he asked me if I wanted to be in Rocket Club was, would you ever want to be in a band that was like the Eagles? Well, yeah. How can we do that?
Yeah.
So from that moment until we got that call about the Billboard country charts, a month and a half later, less than that, but I had to think about it because I've tell this story from time to time. And but about a month and a half later, we're standing on stage at the Grand Ole Opry, and I know nothing about country music, by the way.
Wow.
I nothing. We started getting these calls from management and such, because you're an unsigned country band and you're making the Billboard charts. You're out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
So standing there, with the night Eric Church was playing there for maybe his first or second time. Big and Rich are playing that night. Little Jimmy comes out and introduces himself to us. I mean, in that van on the way to Duluth to play Papa Charlie's at Lutzen, to standing on stage thinking, oh my gosh, this might happen. So then we really hit the pedal, started releasing records, and we had another song called One Thing Beautiful, made the Billboard Country charts, and then another song called North Country that we wrote, made the Billboard Country charts, and we started doing showcases. And we got real close, real close. And the last one we did was at 3rd and Lindsley in Nashville, great club. It was for Sony Nashville, and they flew everybody in from Sony New York as well, and it was just people from Sony in there. And if you've ever played a showcase, man,
I have not.
The weirdest thing in your life, because everything you ever wanted in your life is laying there in front of you.
Yeah.
People who can literally change your life, even though at that point, now I'm over 40 years old. I can't believe any of this is happening.
All right, hold on. I'm going to put this in layman terms.
Yeah.
Elle McPherson in front of you, on her back, butt naked, spread eagle, saying, give me the time of my life. But if it sucks, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's exactly right. Yeah. And I know going in that case, I got nothing for her, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I thought, but I thought I had a chance here. If Elle McPherson, I'd probably already be done by the time she said those words to me, to be honest with you.
Take him to Detroit.
Yeah.
I don't know why I played that one.
But that makes sense to me. Take him to Detroit. Take him somewhere. Just get him away from Elle McPherson.
Yep.
Yeah. So you get on stage, and this was a bigger one. There's about 12 people in front of you, and it's a place that holds 400. And you've got to do your show as if you're on stage at Madison Square.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and we did, man. We killed it. One of my best shows ever. The music was great. By that time, this band, we were playing country festivals all over the
so
nation.
you were tight.
Billy Thomas was our drummer. He's the drummer for Hair
Of
Call, you know.
course.
You know what I mean?
And Johnny Lang.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're just nailing things. And we get done. We go backstage at 3rd and Lindsley. Our management team from Nashville comes into the backstage area. Congratulations. You're Sony music artists. Congratulations. And at that moment, it literally, what do you do when all your dreams come true, right? Like Willy Wonka says. So the next day at 1:00, they're going to get together and sign the paperwork, and they'll bring us down for the official signing ceremony, blah, blah, blah. The next day. So, and by the way, I have to drive home after this because it's a early afternoon.
Yeah.
So I had to drive home because I had to do the morning show the next morning.
Of course.
I drove all night with Luke Kramer, who was the guitar player for GB Layton for so long, and then was for Rocket Club. Drove all night long thinking, what am I going to do? I got to take a leave of absence. I got kids, but I'm going, man. This is it. It's finally happened. This is going to happen for me. 1:00 the next day comes and goes. 2:00 the next day comes and goes. 3:00 comes and goes. A little after 3, we finally get a call, and she says, I think her name was Lori. She says, I'm sorry, guys, they passed. They passed.
But they told us.
They just told us not even 24 hours ago that we were signed. She said it came down to the head of Sony Music Nashville. And he said, I love the band. I love their music. I love everything about them, but they're just too damn old. And that was it. And that was it, man. And I tell you, if they had said the singer's too fat, I'd have lost weight. If they had said you need more songs, we'd have wrote more songs. If anything, we could have changed anything else. You can't change that. You know, and that broke my heart. And we were together for another year and released some, in my opinion, some of our best songs in the year after that. But that was the moment that broke up the band. That broke my heart.
Yeah.
You know, it was, they dangled the carrot, and then I had the carrot in my hand for a moment, and then it was just ripped out of my hand. And you know, I've had a great life since then, and some things have happened that I'm really, really happy that, you know, everything turned out the way it was supposed to. But that just killed me.
It's so sad. And shows how big of a rube I am.
Yeah.
In my head right now, all I can hear is PA.
Yeah, that's yeah. I can't believe, man. I tell you, that was a heartbreaker. It really was. And you know, we like I said, we did this thing then after that for the next year, and that was 2013. We wrote a song and released a song every month the entire year. Wrote and released a brand new song, and then we made it into a record called the Lucky 13 record. But by the end of that record, we weren't even talking to each other.
Oh wow,
we were so mad at each other. I still contend that it all sprung from the heartbreak. I mean, you know, each of you blaming the other. Well, you know, so I didn't speak to any of them for 8 years.
Wow.
And I didn't even listen to the music for 4 years.
Wow.
I got, I started the Chris Hawkey band and had some fun doing that, worked my ass off to try to build that up to the level that we were for Rocket Club. And
was that a cover band or was that original?
That was original, all original. Yep. And a lot of it, I farmed out of Nashville, got Jason Perry. I don't know if you know Jason, but he lives down in Nashville, and he would find me some songs, and I was writing some songs, had a great band, took a while to build back up to that again. And then I got a job doing television for NFC Championship Snowcross, and I was doing that and still working for the Vikings, still doing my radio stuff. And gradually just started to heal a little bit. And 8 years later, Don's wife decided to throw him a 50th birthday party. And we all met in his garage and surprised him and started talking again, and, released a lot of the tension and realized, all the silly things that when you forget the reason you're doing music and you start doing music for the chase of the record deal and instead of doing it for the love of the music, everything gets perverted, man. Everything. And that's what happened to us. And it broke us up. And now we're back together. We did a new record and it turned out great. And we get to play about 20 shows a year together. And I love it.
That's awesome, because there's something that people need to realize, no matter how old you are. Remember why you started playing music. One, for the trim, and
Amen.
two,
Yeah.
because it's fun.
Yeah, man.
If you're not having fun, you're in the wrong business.
Man. Yeah. Why would you do it? It's not like most of us aren't going to get rich doing it.
No.
Yeah. But I'm up there every time, even to this day, every time I'm up there, I'm pretending I'm Sebastian Bach.
Oh, yeah.
I'm up there pretending I'm John Bon Jovi jumping around. I love it. I am still that young man. And luckily, I think it has a lot to do with what we do for a living.
Yeah.
I could sing 18 nights in a row and be as strong on night 18 as I was on night 1. My vocal cords are like that big around. I'm not a great singer, but I can sing a lot. I do it as much as I can. And luckily, we played 83 shows with the Dillos last year.
Yeah,
and I have a full-time job. It's great. But, and to your point about why people do it, I think about the Sonic Highways series that Dave Grohl did.
Oh, that was amazing.
Amazing. In the very last episode, when they're doing, he's talking to President Obama. And they're sitting in the presidential library talking about the things. I'll never forget this, man, as long as I live. This changed my perspective on so much because, sometimes you do say, why am I going to play a gig again tonight? I'm tired. I got to do work in the morning. Essentially, the point of the whole thing was President Obama says, somewhere tonight, there's a kid who's contemplating what they're going to do with their life. And that kid might come to see your show on the town green in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and you might inspire him.
Yeah.
And he might pick up a guitar. And he might write a song that inspires a kid who writes the greatest song ever written and changes it in a generation that you're not even alive for.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's the river. And I call it feeding the river, man. So every time I go to a show, I keep that in mind. There might be somebody out there who goes home and plays, because we played a James Gang song.
Oh, which one?
You name it. We played
Walk Away.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So let's say we play Walk Away.
Wait, hold on. Was it the studio version or was it the live version that they did with all the psychedelic shit going on?
Yeah. It's the studio version though.
Okay.
I know. But
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're
and
talking
that
about.
rules.
Absolutely. But my man Stretch, he's a stickler. We're gonna play we're going to play the studio version. He's going to kill it.
Of course he is.
Yeah. But you play that song and inspires a guy who goes home and plays it for his kid, and his kid is inspired to pick up the guitar. I just feed the river, man. Music, it matters. It changes lives. It saves lives. It saved my life multiple times, man. I love it.
And it's so funny. Going back to Taylor Swift,
yeah,
I said the exact same thing about where are those kids that sound like Led Zeppelin? Okay, that's drawing a blank right now too. But we all know who we're talking about.
That band.
That band.
Does it start with the G?
Bitch,
what is wrong with us?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But everybody, they just sound like Zeppelin. Yeah, but they are selling out. There are teenage girls going to those shows. And guys that are going to those shows are trying to get with those teenage girls. And they're going, look at what's up there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I should do that.
That's it, man. That's it. Feed the river, man. Keep inspiring the next generation.
Gene Simmons had that famous quote on Kiss Exposed. No, Extreme Close-Up. Was it Kiss Extreme Close-Up? Where he goes, I was watching the Beatles and Ed Sullivan. And all of a sudden the camera panned around and there sounded like microphone feedback. And it was girls going, hey, I want to do that.
That's a great Gene Simmons impersonation, by the way. That's pretty damn
good.
That's pretty good.
Dude, it's not as good as my Sebastian.
Sebastian, oh my God. I
Yes,
listened
can
to
we
his
talk
audiobook.
about Kiss?
Listen to his audiobook, and dude, I'm telling you, I wasn't listening. I was just listening to his voice the entire time, and every time he laughed, I was like, "Oh my god, this guy kills me, man! I love it."
I drove to Minnesota from LA once, and I listened to that audio book, and it was literally 13 hours of, dude, there was whiskey and cocaine.
Man, that story about him going to the Moscow Music Festival and Ozzy going, "Jesus Christ, do you ever shut up?" I was like, I love it. I can hear that, man.
Fucking, the first time I had Jeff LeBar on this show. We were,
that guy.
and I became friends with him on that first run of cruises that we did in 2014. It was Monsters, on the Blue, which was the Moody Blues cruise at the time, and then Cruise of the Edge, which is the Yes Prague cruise and all that stuff. And he was on all three with this band. Well, he did Cinderella on Monsters, but there was a cover band on all three of them that he did,
wow,
right?
okay.
So that's when I got to know him. That's why I hung out with him. And so, you know, we swapped numbers and, you know, we drank at the hotel bar, the bar at the bar.
Yeah.
You know, it was fucking gold. So he was on the show and we were talking about the Moscow Music Peace Festival. And he started laughing. He's like, dude, I can't do his voice, but he's like, he started talking about how Skid Row and Sebastian was rooming with Robofuso.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't deal with him already at that point. So they kicked him out of his room. And LeBar goes, I took him in. I love him. Could you imagine? And he said those two ripped it up.
Were those the two that went up to the top of the building there that they weren't allowed to go up to like the, I've heard this story that I think it might've been LeBar.
The mooning. They mooned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
yeah, that was
LeBar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy moly. Yeah. I as you can tell, all those bands, that whole era, I read everything. I hear everything. I love those stories, man. That's why your story is fascinating to me, man. I mean, because you're friends with all my heroes.
It's so weird.
It's incredible.
Dude, it's so weird to know that I can text Ricky Rackman. Ricky Rackman was just on the Adam Carolla show.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's the first time they've talked, I think, since the 90s.
No kidding.
And I made that happen.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh.
I made that. Because I saw Ricky was going to be in LA. I texted him, hey, are you available? Well, I didn't ask him, but I texted my best friend, the singer of the band that I'm in, Dawson, who's one of the producers and the voice of the Carolla show.
Okay.
And I'm like, find out if they would want Ricky Rackman. Because we had talked about this before. And it just worked out because that's something you can't do over the phone. You can't do it over Zoom. It has to be in person.
Yeah.
And it happened.
That's great.
And all fucking hatchets were buried.
Yeah.
And they just had a great conversation.
Cool. Yeah.
You know, but dude, it's weird. It's really, really weird that I'm sitting at the hotel bar yesterday. Right. And I'm sitting with three of the guys from the Alan Parsons Project.
Incredible. Yeah. Right.
And we were talking about the comedy thing I do. It's called Punchlines and Backlines.
Okay.
So we take a musician who's never done stand-up before. So we had Kip Winger do it. We do it on the Monsters cruise. Yeah. We had Kip Winger. We had Reb Beach. We had Todd Latore from Queensryche. God, who did it this year? Jeff Scott Soto, the guy that sang fucking
Yeah.
So I told him that we had Kip do it. And he goes, I played with them. Or no, Kip played with us.
Really?
Or something like that. Something to that. I think it was Kip played with us for a little while.
Wow.
Helping fill in. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So I could text Kip Winger. I sent him a picture. He goes, tell him I said hi.
Holy crap.
It's just the weirdest fucking thing.
That's crazy.
And it's still, I still pinch myself. I mean, it's, people are like, why are you so broken up about CJ Snare? Because he was a friend.
Yeah, that's cool.
Jeff LeBar was a friend.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hooked you up with those tickets last night. I fucking texted Frank Hannon.
Yeah. And again, that's awesome, man.
It's just weird.
Those are all those guys,
Yeah.
I mean, my not even closeted dream. I say this all the time on the show. If I ever get a chance to audition for any of those bands for any reason, I I see you later, radio. I'm gone, man. It doesn't matter. You know, those bands still go out and put on great shows and play the songs that I love, man. I freaking love that.
Well, you wouldn't have to leave radio anyways, because half of the time they're just doing weekend fly gigs anyways.
That's true. You're right. Yeah. And you can do radio from anywhere right now. Obviously, we're sitting
yeah,
here,
exactly. Exactly. You just have to get to where the Vikings are playing.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Maybe need some time off during Viking season, but no, you know, and to see some of these bands and they bring in the replacement, that's the reason I bring it up. They bring in replacement singers and you're like, holy shit, that kid that they had in Skid Row could sing his ass off, man. I feel so bad for him.
Oh, I know. It's a
just
horrible
terrible, man.
situation, you know?
I mean, all the, you know, and you see the different versions of Great White, you see all these things and you're like, my God, the music's still living out there, man. I'd love to be a part of that stuff.
Dude, it's so weird because growing up in St. Cloud, I went to Cathedral.
Yeah.
And they did this show every year called Rock Around the Clock. It was the yearly fundraiser. It was put on by Bobby V. And do you know how Bobby got his break?
No.
He filled in for Buddy Holly the night that Buddy died.
No kidding.
That's how he got his break.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he sent all his kids to Cathedral because he was from Fargo.
For sure.
And so he started doing this show every year as a fundraiser because Cathedral is a private Catholic school.
Right.
And trust me, my mom had to, there was financial assistance involved.
For sure.
But the fundraiser was called Rock Around the Clock. You would bring in all these 50s and 60s bands.
Yeah.
You know, so I saw Jan and Dean.
Wow.
I saw fourth grade, Chubby Checker pulled me on stage and I did the twist with Chubby Checker.
That started it all right there.
That's where it all started.
Began. Yeah. Right.
But, you know, you see all those bands, but we always bitch about, oh, why can't they have the original band back together? Well, dude, this has been going on forever.
For sure.
At this point in the 80s, the bands from the 60s and 70s were already replacing people.
Yeah, right.
You know, it happened with Kiss. It happened with everybody.
Everybody. Yeah. Yeah. You keep the music flowing as much as you can. You keep the checks coming. You keep playing the gigs.
Yeah.
You know, I completely understand it. Again, you know, you go to these shows. Like I was at the very first, what's the festival in Key West? What was the name of that festival in Key West that you broke your
On the Sands?
No, close. It was all 80s bands.
Yeah, yeah. It was 80s in the Sand, right?
No, I forget what it's called. Rock on the Island. Rock Island.
Oh,
Fest.
yeah.
Rock Island Fest.
Rock
Eddie
Island
was
Fest.
the host.
Yeah,
Eddie
yeah, of
Trunk was
course.
the host.
Yeah, yeah.
So we go there, and sadly, my manager broke her back the next day on a watercraft. So we missed. She ruined my vacation. Luckily, she's good now. But going down there and seeing those bands, you know, most of the time, as we said, the guy doing the singing or the guy doing the guitar playing are just nailing it in a way. Oh, look at that. And look at that. Eddie Trunk just asking you if you want tickets. See, now that's the thing. If Eddie asks you if you want tickets, I bet you go.
Well,
I asked you if you wanted a ticket.
No, I already committed to going to LA Guns and Tom Kiefer tonight.
Yeah.
Because I know that this is the start of the Scorpions residency.
Yeah.
I can still see the show.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I would love to be at the first one, but
Yeah.
I already committed. What can I do?
I understand.
Yeah.
So how many, who's still in LA Guns?
Tracy and Phil.
That's it. Yeah, cool.
That's all you need.
That's all, of course. Yeah.
And that's no shot at anybody else.
Right. Yeah,
but
yeah. That's LA Guns for me. That always will be.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And does Tom play all Cindy stuff or does
he plays 90%?
Right.
And he's still, because he has a great solo
Jesus
record.
Christ, man. That guy's a songwriter.
Yeah.
That guy is a songwriter.
Yeah.
And another fascinating band in our genre that we love of a band who just decided this is who we really are. We're going to do it whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I think they could have been 90 times bigger than they were if they hadn't decided just to stick to who they really were. You know, that second and third record, those records are freaking great.
Long Cold Winter, man.
Oh my
Get
God.
out of here.
Come
Get the
on.
fuck out of here.
I know.
That album is so good.
So good. Love the even
because
Heartbreak
that
Station.
is who they
That's who they
are.
That's who Tom was. Yeah.
Right.
Love it. So yeah, I know. I'm of you know, it's a split decision for me tonight. I Scorpions or Tom Kiefer, and again, the tickets to the Scorpions are free, and
the tickets for
I've
Tom
never-
Kiefer are free.
yeah, I've never seen the Scorpions before. It's a fight, man. I don't know. Oh well, it's a good choice to have to make.
If you decide you want to go, I have a +1.
I love it.
But you obviously you got your manager.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I tell you, all those bands, dude.
It's
I mean, think about Worldwide Live when that came out, that live record for the Scorpions. Jeez Louise.
dude, here's talking about Kiss. This is the weirdest fucking thing.
Give it to me.
So a couple weeks ago, the drummer from the Foo Fighters who passed.
Oh, Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah. His cover band, Chevy Metal,
Okay.
was playing in town, and they have his kid filling in on
Is it
drums.
really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And
Okay.
I know the guitar player, Brent Woods, good
Okay.
friend of mine. They're playing at Vamped, and I go there. It's elbows to assholes. I'm in VIP because VIP.
You got girls like that back there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm like, okay, well, fucking Nerd Halen is playing at the Virgin.
Okay.
That's Hal Sparks' band.
Okay.
You know Hal Sparks?
I do not.
He was on Queer as Folk. He was actor, comedian. He was on
I know the face.
Anyways.
Sure. Yeah.
But I'm friends with those guys. I'm like,
Okay.
all right, I'm gonna go check in on here. I'm gonna go check in there. And I forgot that Bret Michaels was playing at the Virgin that night, right? And they're playing in this tiny little lounge in the front, right? And Bruce Kulick is standing there.
My God.
And I go up and say hi to him because I know him.
Wow.
And as I'm walking away, I heard him say to his wife, Lisa, finally, somebody that I know. I'm like,
oh my God, dude, that's the best ever.
But then he comes over and goes, Izzy, let's take a picture. I'm like,
dude.
Really? I just want to send it to somebody.
That's so cool. He just happened to be at the show. Does he live out here somewhere?
Yeah, he lives here.
Everybody lives here.
Yeah, here in Nashville. That's where everybody's going.
Yeah, right. Nashville's getting inundated.
Yeah.
Though, man. I've got a lot of friends who live down there now, and it's becoming a bit much to be.
It is. And I think people are going away from Austin now because it's turning into LA.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody needs that in their lives.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I tell you, man, I don't know this. Yeah, where you live is a choice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I love it out here. I'd probably be broke dick poor if I lived out here, but you can play music every night. What else do you need?
You can, dude. I know you got to go to a show.
Yep, you got to go to a show.
I got to go to a show,
Yeah.
and we could sit here and talk for 2 more hours.
We probably could, whether anybody liked it or
And
not.
I'm going to tell you this because I firmly believe this. If I would have kept doing what I was doing, with the paper, magazine, with the radio, I still think at part of this. My middle name is Delusions of Grandeur.
Right.
I probably would be on that show with you right now.
I'll tell you, man, you would fit in perfectly. Obviously, you know the show. It's fun. What we're on a sports radio station, and it's there's a lot of sports, but it's we cover every base, and that sort of my goal when they gave us the morning show, they had me write my my mission statement, and my mission statement was to make people feel better when they get in their car than they did when they woke up that morning. Everybody's, carrying their own load. Everybody's having a hard time. Most people are going to a job they don't want to be going to. It's early in the morning. If I can make somebody smile, I've done my job for the day.
That's what it's all about.
I've surrounded myself with my friends. My job is to get up in the morning, make my friends laugh, go home at night, take a nap, get up and go play a gig somewhere. I'm living the dream.
And to try to show Meat Sauce and Corey what real music
They won't
is.
do it. They won't admit it. And, I can see the look on their face sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
when I plan
You saw
something.
their look when you started talking about Tesla
Oh,
today.
trust me, man. Listen, but they do it just to rile me up, and that's okay. I'm spreading the gospel, man. I'm spreading the gospel.
Of course, but I don't know. It was pretty cool because I am a kind of a fame whore at times. I think we all are.
Everybody is. Yeah.
And when I got a couple tweets, dude, was that you on the fucking power trip? I'm like, yeah, it was.
It's been, man. I can't tell you that. Everything, man. The fun thing about the band and the radio show is they fed each other so well.
Yeah.
I mean, in the upper Midwest, you go places and the radio show, people are listening. You go places and you play in the band and people are there. It's worked. It's worked. Somehow it worked.
It's awesome,
With
man.
no plan, it worked. I love it.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for
you,
the
man.
success. We still have to do Rocket Club Smoke and Kills shows.
Dude, I would love it. And listen, hey, let's get together and do some stuff out here, man. I'll come out and we'll play some shows. Let's have some
dude.
fun, man. I would love it. I see so many great bands out here. I just want to sing, man. It's fun.
Dude, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Chris
man.
Hawkey, I appreciate it, man.
The beer?
Of course. Now hold on. Let me hit the outro music.
Real outro. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Check him out every morning, Monday through Friday at it starts at
5:30 to 9.
5:30 to 9 on KFAN. You can find him on the iHeartRadio app. KFAN. I listen to when I can.
I appreciate it.
I'm not gonna lie. It's like usually I turn on Corolla as soon as I wake up.
I don't blame you a bit.
But I chime in and I'm like, oh fuck, I would be fun on the initials, man. That'd be a blast.
I tell you, sometimes it's fun. Yeah, 5:39 KFAN, the Power Trip Morning Show, iHeartRadio, all over the country. Check us out and come see my band. I'm playing somewhere tonight.
Yeah. In your mind, you are.
In my mind.
They can find Rocket Club, rocketclub.com.
Rocketclub.band.
There you go.
Fabulous.armadillos.com and ChrisHawkey.com. Check me out.
All right, very good. You can find me at Real Izzy Presley, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the way across the board. Also on the Venmo. If you do appreciate what I do, because I will never charge for this show, And then we have to get her framed. She's home, ladies and gentlemen, and the son bitch is gonna protect her.
Look at that guy. Oh, he's eyeballing her.
Oh, of course he is.
Already
I left these two alone for a week. So, anyways,
she's pregnant.
We'll see you next week, and keeping recorded an interview with the bass player from Collective Soul, which will air next month. I love you guys. Go fuck yourselves, and yeah.